We were headed to dinner at our friend's house out in the country. They lived deep in the woods, and we hardly made it out this far as we lived in the city. As we rounded a corner, we saw the sign for the Lost Corn Maze. The name sounded dramatic, but it was only supposed to take 30 minutes. We were early for dinner at the Wolf's house, so we decided to stop in for a scary adventure since it was late October. When Laura and I stepped through the entrance and under the large Lost Corn Maze sign, the night sky was already dimming, and the air thick with the scent of soil and dry husks. The stalks were absurdly tall, towering walls of gold and black swaying in the wind like restless waves. At first, we laughed every time we hit a dead end. The scarecrow markers tied to wooden stakes were meant to help guide us, each one pointing the way forward. But the longer we walked, the stranger it got. After 2 hours, we didn't know if we were hallucinating or tired. But the scarecrows seemed to be pointing in different directions each time we saw them. Whole paths we had taken earlier were gone, replaced by solid walls of corn. My stomach turned when I realized one section had twisted into a circle. No matter how many turns we took, we ended up right back at the same scarecrow, its arm outstretched, pointing deeper into the maze. We called out for help, but no one was coming for us. "Did someone move these?" Laura whispered. Maybe we're just walking in circles," I said. It felt like the stalks were leaning closer, listening, caving in on us. The night turned silent. The floodlights flickered overhead, then one after another blinked out, leaving the maze in near darkness. Our phone lights barely touched the walls of corn. It must have been around midnight when we realized we hadn't heard another voice in hours. The laughter from the entrance, the families, the music, it was gone. Only the distant rustle of leaves and the faint whisper of shifting stalks surrounded us. The wind picked up, and maybe it was the corn stalks or maybe something more ominous. But we heard a faint woman's voice.
"Come this way to finish the maze."
"Did you hear that?" "Yes," Laura murmured, her face looking like she saw a ghost. "We have to leave. Now." We walked, then ran. The maze shifted again. Subtle turns where there hadn't been turns before. Dead ends where we swore there had been open paths. At some point, I lost track of how long we'd been inside. It felt endless. Finally, just as the horizon began to pale with dawn, a clearing opened ahead. The exit gate. The old farm owner stood there, leaning against the wooden post, his weathered face split by the kind of grin that came from knowing something you didn't. "The sun is rising." "How long were we in there?" I asked. He let out a sinister laugh and looked us dead in the eye.
Oh, about 10 hours. It happens every now and then. Folks get turned around. That's why they call it the Lost Corn Maze.
He looked at us for a moment longer, eyes twinkling with something sinister, then turned toward the barn, laughing and speaking softly to himself.
At least it let you out.
I turned back to the maze and immediately froze. The entrance was gone. In its place stood a perfect wall of corn, rippling faintly as if breathing, the stalks swaying in a pattern that almost looked like it was asking me to return. And for a second, I could have sworn I heard it again.
"Come this way to finish the maze."